Several important events make up the rising action of Dory Fantasmagory. First, Dory, the protagonist, was introduced. She is not liked nor accepted by her siblings. Something important you need to know is that Dory has a wild and crazy imagination. This will put you in context for later. The setting of the story is Dory's house. The first important event is when Violet, Dory's sister, and Luke, Dory's brother, think up a plan to get Dory to stop bothering them. They decided to tell Dory there's a monster lady named Miss Gobblecracker that likes to steal children that act like babies. Another important event is when Dory thinks she heard the doorbell ring, but her siblings didn't hear anything. Dory goes to check the door. She sees Miss Gobblecracker at the door. Of course, Miss Gobblecracker isn't really there. She is just a figment of Dory's imagination. I predict Dory will get taken by Mrs. Gobblecracker and will have to find a way out. The protagonist now faces the difficult problem of Mrs. Gobblecracker being in her house. This is a protagonist versus antagonist type of conflict. This is a protagonist versus antagonist conflict because Dory, the protagonist, and Mrs. Gobblecracker, the antagonist, are against each other. In this situation, Dory is trying to hide from Mrs. Gobblecracker, who is currently lurking in the shadows of her house. Of course not literally, because Mrs. Gobblecracker is just a person Violet and Luke made up to get Dory off their backs. One important event was after Dory got yelled at for being in a long-sleeve outfit in 90-degree Fahrenheit weather. She changed into her bathing suit and went outside to hang out in the hammock and pout. When she was pouting and crying in the hammock outside, she saw a little elf man staring down at her. His name was Mr. Nuggy. Another significant event was when Dory asked Mr. Nuggy to turn her into something other than a human. Initially, she asked him to turn her into a pineapple. That did not work, so she asked him to turn her into a dog instead. In Dory's imagination, that worked. In addition, Dory had to go to the doctor the next day and was still pretending to be a dog. I predict the characters will accept Dory and her imagination. I make this prediction because they are her family and I think they love her and she may just be misunderstood. I also predict Dory will make friends with Mrs. Gobblecracker. One reason is because Mrs. Gobblecracker is pretty lonely and needs some friends. The falling action and the resolution of the book were eventful. One important event during the falling action was when Dory went to school and didn't have any friends at school, so she felt very lonely. One thing that Dory learned was to have friends, you need to be yourself. Violet made her realize she can still be fun, imaginative, and herself while still being slightly organized. In the resolution, Violet and Luke still didn't want nor enjoy Dory's company. Miss Gobblecracker went back into her cave, and Dory was totally happy being herself, now with a few friends. This showed that Dory really changed because before any time someone would say anything against her personality or her wild imagination, she would get sad. Now she can accept those sometimes hurtful comments as compliments on her personality. Clearly, the theme of Dory Fantasmagory was happiness, imagination, and being yourself. I can apply that theme in my own life by thinking outside the box, trying to see the good in people, and liking me for me.